Right now, or maybe an hour ago, or maybe tomorrow evening, your cat is lying on the couch, or on your lap, or sprawled across the keyboard of your laptop. You run your hand down their back, and you feel it. That low, steady vibration. That tiny, rhythmic motor humming deep inside their chest. You smile, they close their eyes, and you think to yourself that everything is fine. The cat is happy. The cat is smiling back at you in the only language it has. But here is a question nobody actually asks. We just accept it as a universal law of nature, like gravity or the sun coming up in the morning. Why do they do it? And more importantly, what is actually happening inside that little vibrating box of fur? Not as in, does it breathe? Obviously, yes. The lungs work. We are not talking about simple biology here. We are talking about the fact that you have an apex predator, an animal perfectly engineered for silent stalking and lethal precision, possessing a biological mechanism that makes it vibrate like a broken refrigerator. And you are about to say, come on, it is just a reflex. It is a sign of joy. It is how they say thank you for the food. Okay, then explain this. Why do veterinary surgeons hear that exact same sound when a cat is lying on a steel table with a broken leg? Why do they make that exact same sound when they are terrified? And this is where it gets interesting. What if we are wrong, and this whole time we have been misinterpreting the most common sound in our homes? What if the thing we thought was a symbol of absolute feline joy is actually something vastly older, vastly stranger, and incredibly powerful? We buy them little beds, we feed them out of crystal bowls, we project our human emotions onto them. Seriously, people genuinely do this. But what if they are not smiling at all? Buckle up, because this is the rabbit hole we are going down today. We are going to look under the hood of the most ordinary animal on Earth, and by the end of this, you will never listen to that sound the same way again. Let us start at the very beginning. What does it even mean to physically purr? Let us start with the most obvious thing. If you want to understand a mystery, you first have to understand the mechanics. How does an animal even produce a continuous, unbroken vibration that goes on for 10, 20, sometimes 40 minutes straight? If you try to hum right now, go ahead and try it. You can only do it for as long as your breath holds out. You exhale, you make a sound, and then you have to stop to inhale. The sound breaks. Your vocal cords cannot vibrate both ways. But a cat does not stop. The purr is a continuous loop. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. The motor never skips a beat. For a very long time, scientists had absolutely no idea how they pulled this off. There was a theory in the mid-20th century that cats had a special hidden blood vessel near their heart that vibrated when blood rushed through it. It sounds poetic, but it is completely wrong. The reality of how they do it is actually a lot more exhausting. Back in the late 90s, researchers mapping the feline nervous system realized that purring is not a passive state. It is not like snoring. It is a highly active, incredibly demanding physical process. Deep inside the cat's brain, a neural oscillator fires off a signal. This signal travels down to the laryngeal muscles, the muscles surrounding the vocal cords in the throat, and it commands those muscles to twitch. Not just once or twice. It commands them to twitch rapidly, opening and closing the vocal cords between 20 and 30 times a second. Every single second. As the cat breathes in, the air hits those rapidly twitching muscles, creating a sound. As the cat breathes out, the air hits them again. The brain has to actively send that signal 20 to 30 times a second for the entire duration of the purr. If the cat is purring for half an hour, its brain is constantly actively driving that machinery. Sit with that for a second. It is a deliberate, exhausting effort. But here is the thing, not all cats can do this. If you go to a zoo and look at a lion, or a tiger, or a leopard, you will never hear them purr. They physically cannot do it. They can roar. A lion can roar so loudly you can hear it 5 miles away. The roar is designed to dominate the landscape, to shatter the air, to announce presence. But a house cat cannot roar. A cheetah cannot roar. A puma cannot roar. Millions of years ago, the feline family tree split straight down the middle, and it all came down to one tiny bone in the throat called the hyoid bone. In the big cats, the lions and the tigers, that bone evolved to be flexible, partially made of cartilage. That flexibility allows them to drop their larynx and produce the thunderous, earth-shaking roar. But the price they paid for the roar was the purr. That flexible structure cannot hold the rapid 20 to 30 Hz twitching. In the smaller cats, the cheetahs, the bobcats, and the tiny creature currently shedding on your favorite sweater, that hyoid bone remained completely rigid. It is a solid anchor. Because it is rigid, the laryngeal muscles have something to brace against, allowing them to vibrate at high speeds. They traded the ability to terrify the forest for the ability to vibrate. Yes, exactly that. Millions of years of evolution looked at the house cat and said, "You do not get to roar, you get the internal motor." And you have to ask yourself, if evolution preserved this trait so fiercely, if a cheetah kept it while a lion lost it, it cannot just be a way to say the food is good. Evolution does not waste energy on a smile. It only keeps what keeps you alive. So here is where it gets interesting. If it is a survival tool, when do they first start using it? Picture this. You are a kitten. You are exactly 2 days old. You are entirely blind. Your eyes are sealed shut. You are entirely deaf. Your ear canals have not opened yet. You are a tiny, fragile, helpless piece of biology lying in a dark nest, and it is 50,000 years before now. You have no idea what the world is, but you know you are cold, and you know you need milk. How do you find your mother? You cannot see her coming. You cannot hear her walking, but you can feel her. At just 2 days old, a mother cat approaches her kittens, and she turns on the motor. She starts to purr. She does not meow. Meowing is high-pitched. High-pitched sounds travel far through the air. In the wild, a high-pitched sound is an advertisement to every fox, eagle, and hungry predator within a mile that there is a nest full of defenseless calories waiting in the grass. But a purr is different. A purr is low frequency. Low frequencies do not travel well through the air. They drop off very quickly. But they travel beautifully through solid objects. They travel through the ground. They travel through bodies. The blind, deaf kitten feels the vibration through the floor of the nest. It is a homing beacon, a perfectly cloaked, highly encrypted communication channel that only exists between bodies pressed close together. The predator in the trees hears absolutely nothing, but the kitten feels a massive, vibrating lighthouse guiding it to safety and warmth. The kitten crawls toward the vibration, finds the mother, and survives. And within a few days, the kitten learns to purr back. It is their very first language. It is a closed circuit of survival. And right about now, you are probably thinking, okay, that makes sense for kittens, but my cat is 7 years old. It is not blind. It knows exactly where the kitchen is. Why is it still doing it to me? Let me throw you something even wilder. Because your cat knows exactly what it is doing, and quite frankly, it is playing you like a cheap instrument. Back in 2009, a researcher named Karen McComb at the University of Sussex started noticing something strange about her own cat. Every morning, early in the morning, the cat would jump on her bed and purr. But it was not the normal, low, comforting rumble. It was urgent. It was annoying. It was a purr that forced her to wake up and fill the food bowl, just to make it stop. She was a psychoacoustics expert, someone who studies how sounds affect the brain. So she brought her recording equipment home. She recorded the normal purr, the one cats make when they are just chilling on the couch. And she recorded the hungry purr, the one they make when they want something. Then she gathered a group of human volunteers in a lab. Some of these people owned cats. Some of these people had never owned a cat in their lives and did not even like them. She played the recordings and asked the humans to rate how urgent and unpleasant the sounds were. Every single human, regardless of whether they liked cats or not, immediately identified the hungry purr as urgent, demanding, and incredibly hard to ignore. When McComb ran the audio through a spectrograph to look at the exact frequencies, what she saw completely broke the understanding of feline manipulation. Inside the normal, low-frequency rumble of the hungry purr, the cat had embedded a high-frequency spike. A sharp, hidden acoustic peak that peaked right around 220 to 520 Hz. Do you know what else happens to peak at that exact same acoustic frequency? The cry of a human infant. Let that land. Your cat is embedding the acoustic signature of a crying human baby inside its purr. Over thousands of years of living alongside us, cats figured out the one sound that the human brain is biologically incapable of ignoring. We are mammals. We are hardwired by evolution to react to the sound of a distressed infant. When we hear that frequency, our brain releases stress hormones, our attention snaps to focus, and we are driven by an ancient, uncontrollable urge to make the sound stop by providing care. The cat hacked our biological software. They took the distress signal of an entirely different species, wrapped it in a comforting purr so we would not get angry and throw them out of the room, and they use it to get breakfast an hour early. They do not do this with each other. A cat does not use the solicitation purr on another cat. They developed this specific acoustic weapon exclusively for us. And I have to say, honestly, I get stuck on this fact every single time. The sheer evolutionary audacity of it is staggering. We think we trained them to use the litter box, and meanwhile, they engineered an audio virus to control our nervous system. Respect. Okay, that is settled. They use it to hide in the dark, and they use it to manipulate the giant hairless apes who buy the food. Now forget everything I just said, because we are about to hit the bottom of the rabbit hole, and this is where the story takes a sharp turn away from behavior and plunges straight into the realm of things that sound like science fiction. If you look at the life of an average house cat, it makes absolutely no sense. A cat sleeps anywhere from 14 to 18 hours a day. They lie completely motionless in a sunbeam, occasionally getting up to stretch, eat, and go right back to sleep. If a human being stayed in bed for 18 hours a day, week after week, month after month, our bodies would begin to fall apart. Our muscles would atrophy, our bone density would plummet. The human skeleton requires constant mechanical stress, walking, lifting, moving, to remind the cells to keep building bone. If you do not use it, the body stops spending energy on it and the bones become brittle. But a cat does not lose bone density. A cat can sleep for almost its entire life, and the moment it wakes up, it can leap 5 feet straight into the air, land perfectly on a narrow fence, and sprint away. Their bones remain incredibly dense, their muscles remain primed, their joints rarely suffer from the kind of degradation you would expect from such extreme inactivity. For decades, biologists were baffled by this. How does an animal remain physically perfect while doing absolutely nothing? Enter a researcher named Elizabeth von Muggenthaler at the Fauna Communications Research Institute. She did not look at the behavior of the purr, she looked at the pure physics of it. She measured the exact vibrational frequencies of purring across multiple feline species. House cats, ocelots, pumas, cheetahs. Across the board, the fundamental frequency of the feline purr falls exactly between 20 and 150 Hz. And if you show those exact numbers, 20 to 150 Hz, to an orthopedic surgeon or a physical therapist, their jaw will hit the floor. Because in the world of human medicine, frequencies between 20 and 50 Hz are the exact frequencies proven to promote bone growth, heal fractures, and relieve pain. Frequencies around 100 Hz are used therapeutically to decrease swelling, heal tissues, and repair torn muscles. Yes, read that again, well, hear it again, that last line. The cat is not just making a sound, it is a self-healing machine. The purr is an internal physical therapy device. When a cat lies in the sun and purrs, it is stimulating its own skeleton. The vibration runs through the rigid hyoid bone, down the spine, radiating through the ribs and into the limbs. The mechanical stress of the vibration acts as a substitute for physical exercise. It triggers the osteoblasts, the cells responsible for bone formation, forcing them to keep the skeleton dense and strong, even while the animal is completely at rest. It heals microfractures. It reduces inflammation in the joints. It is a biological cheat code. They evolved a way to exercise their bones while taking a nap. And if you think that is just a wild coincidence, let me introduce you to the human equivalent. In the early 2000s, scientists at NASA were facing a massive problem. When astronauts go into space, into zero gravity, they lose bone density at an alarming rate. Without the mechanical stress of walking against the Earth's gravity, their skeletons start to dissolve. An astronaut on the International Space Station can lose up to 20% of their bone mass in a matter of months. NASA needed a way to keep bones strong without gravity. So they funded research into low-level mechanical vibrations. They put test subjects on vibrating plates for 20 minutes a day. And what frequency did they find was the most effective for halting bone loss and stimulating regeneration? Exactly the frequency of a purring cat. Scientists spent millions of dollars, used the most advanced technology on the planet, and arrived at the exact same solution that a stray cat in the alley has been carrying around in its throat for millions of years. The evidence for it genuinely melts your brain. Your cat is essentially a living, breathing medical device. But here is the part we do not like to talk about. And now I have to tell you the other side of this. Because we have been marveling at the genius of it. Look how smart they are. Look how they heal themselves. But there is a heavy price to this mechanism, and it completely shatters the cute, comfortable image we hold on to. The tone shifts here because we have to look at when they actually use this medical device. If a purr is an internal healing engine, a way to stimulate bones and soothe tissue, then when would a cat need it the most? Not when they are happy, not when they are lying on a warm blanket. They need it when they are broken. Veterinarians like Tony Buffington, who study feline stress and behavior, see the dark side of the purr every single day. When a cat is struck by a car and brought into a clinic with shattered ribs, it is often purring. When a female cat is in the agonizing throes of a difficult labor, she is purring. When a cat is terrified, trapped in a cage in a loud shelter, surrounded by the smell of strange dogs, shivering in the corner, it is purring. And most heartbreaking of all, when a cat is at the very end of its life, when the organs are failing, when the breath is shallow, and the vet is preparing the final injection, the cat is very often purring. And we, with our human brains, look at this and we get horribly confused. We think, why are they smiling? They are dying. Why are they happy? But they are not happy, and this is where it stops being funny. The purr is not a smile. It never was. The purr is a coping mechanism. It is a survival engine. When a cat is in severe pain, when the body is failing, it turns on the one mechanism it has to try and fix itself. It fires up the 20 Hz vibration, desperately trying to stimulate the broken bones, desperately trying to reduce the swelling, desperately trying to release endorphins into the brain to numb the agony. And if the body cannot be fixed, if it is truly the end, the purr becomes something else. It becomes a mantra, a self-soothing rhythm in the dark. Think about what a human does when we are terrified or in unbearable pain. We rock back and forth. We repeat a phrase over and over. We breathe in a specific, desperate rhythm to try and anchor ourselves to the world. The cat is doing the same thing. The vibration is a way to hold themselves together when everything else is falling apart. It is a blanket they pull over their own terrified nervous system. The thing we put on cute infographics, the sound we print on coffee mugs with the words "Happy Kitty," is actually their deepest cry for help and their final defense against the void. Sit with that for a moment. The animal you live with carries a trauma response so deep and so ancient that it uses it to walk to the very edge of death. And because we do not speak their language, we have spent our whole lives petting them while they do it, fundamentally misunderstanding the depth of what they are experiencing. And you might feel a little chill right now. You might feel a little betrayed by the universe. If the purr is a trauma response, if it is a medical device for broken bones and a mantra for the dying, then what does it mean when they sit on my lap and do it? Have they been faking it this whole time? Is the happy purr a lie? No, and here is where we have to reassemble the picture. Because the truth is actually much more beautiful than a simple smile. Science can describe the mechanism. It can tell us about the laryngeal muscles and the neural oscillator and the osteoblasts and the 20 Hz frequency. But science cannot crawl inside the experience itself. It cannot tell us what it actually feels like to be a cat. But we know this. Evolution does not build walls between the body and the mind. If a mechanism releases endorphins to numb the pain of a broken bone, those exact same endorphins feel like pure bliss when the bone is perfectly fine. When your cat is lying on your lap, safe, warm, with a full stomach, they do not need to heal a shattered rib. They do not need to hide from a predator. But they turn the engine on anyway. Why? Because it feels good. Because the vibration that evolved to keep them alive in a brutal, unforgiving world has been repurposed into a profound expression of comfort. But it goes deeper than that. Remember the blind, deaf kitten? The purr is a tactile language. It is a homing beacon. It is the way a mother tells her fragile babies, I am here, follow the vibration. You are safe inside this frequency. When your cat climbs onto your chest, presses its small body against your ribs, and starts to hum, it is not just saying, I am happy. It is doing something incredibly intimate. It is including you in the survival circuit. It is taking its most powerful, ancient, sacred defense mechanism, the very thing it uses to heal its own broken bones and face its own death, and it is extending that field over you. It is wrapping you in the cloaking device. It is saying, the world out there is dangerous, but right here, in this specific frequency, we are going to survive. We do not know what awaits us. We do not know what the world looks like through those vertical pupils. But the very fact that this fierce, solitary predator chooses to share its deepest physiological secret with a clumsy, hairless ape is the most astonishing thing. Look at your own life. We pace. We bite our nails. We lie awake at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling, overwhelmed by the sheer weight of being alive in a fragile body. We are all just trying to find a way to soothe ourselves in the dark. Cats just figured out how to build their comfort directly into their throats, and they are offering it to us. It is the same cat on the same couch, but now you know what is behind that sound. It is not just a motor, it is the echo of a 50,000-year-old forest. It is a biological miracle that builds bone and heals tissue. It is a quiet defiance against pain. So if you have got a cat sleeping somewhere nearby, go run your hand down its back right now. Feel that low, steady hum vibrating against your palm. And tell me in the comments, do you think they know they are healing us, or are they just making sure their favorite food bringer stays alive a little longer? I read these. And if you want to keep looking at the ordinary world and finding the abyss hiding right behind it, subscribe. It turns out they were never just telling you they are happy, they are anchoring you both to the earth.